Okay, hello again, and this is just something for RXL 209, and this is just to show how the Xbox 360 and later on the PlayStation 3 wouldn't have been sold out. Okay, wouldn't. Okay, this here is the USA hardware sales year over year, but I've only got 2005-2006 highlighted. For the Xbox 360, I'll remove 2006 at the moment. At some point I'll have a little snippet from an article around about here stating how many units were shipped throughout the world for the Xbox 360 during the launch. Okay, and during that during the launch and the shipping that was made for the Xbox 360, there was 900,000 units shipped directly to the United States. Okay, so 900,000 units. If we look at the sales in November, there was 305,237 units sold. Okay, if we add in the 258,045 units sold in December onto the units sold in November, we come up to 563,282. Okay, that leaves the remaining stock at 336,718, which would still be in stores and still be needing to be sold. Okay, that's not sold out. Okay, now in January there would have been more units shipped out to the stores, but let's just keep the 900,000 number in your minds at the moment. Okay, we'll take away the 2005 numbers, and okay, for January you get 228,000 sold, and which is still under the 900,000. It's only when we get into February that we break the 900,000 mark, and that's when the next amount of consoles shipped start to get sold. Now remember, these secondary units would have been shipped out in sometime in January, so it took an extra month for these other units to start being sold, and then when we hit into March it goes to 183,000 units sold, so we're talking about just over 1.1 million units sold between 5 months. Okay, next I'll go on to the PlayStation 3, but the Xbox 360 section should be finished. If not, I'll make another video on it. Okay, and now on to the PlayStation 3, which to me had a better first 2 months than what the Xbox 360 had, but it still wasn't sold out. About now there should be an image appearing showing that there was 1 million units shipped over to the United States for the first 2 months of the launch. Okay, so then we have 1 million sent out, and in the first month there was 196,672,000 sold. Okay, and then we move into December, which did have a better December month than what the Xbox 360 had the previous year, at 471,090 units sold. Combining those two in sales, you get 666,762. If you take that away from the 1 million, then you have 332,238 PlayStation 3 consoles which remain in stock. Okay, that was only for the first 2 months. We'll add in the 2007, we'll take out 2006, and here you can see this is adding on another 200,469 units sold. That leaves just around 130,000 still in stock from the first amount shipped out. Remember, in January, start of the new year, there is another batch of consoles shipped out to the retailers. So in February we get 131,936 units sold, which I haven't done the maths for this yet, but it's either going to be just under or just above the 1 million units sold. So let's say between February and March is when they just sold over their initial launch units that were shipped out. Okay, and next I will go on to the Wii U sales, and I'll give my perspective on those, and then there will be something else at the end as well, just in reply to something that wasn't meant to initially be in the video, but it is now. Okay, so this is the Wii U section. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, well, because I can't really, because there's only really 2 months worth of sales to show for it. At the end I'll pose a question to all the fanboys on the opposite side of the spectrum for this. Okay, so we'll start with November, as I have been doing throughout the video. And for that we have sales of 421,850. Remember, this is the United States alone. And in December we had 664,708 units sold, which tallies up to just over 1 million units sold within the first 2 months. Now, excuse me, there's been certain people who have been saying that the Wii U is a flop. Okay, and with these sale numbers, with the United States alone for these sale numbers, I don't quite see it as being a flop. Okay, I'm just wondering why the Wii U is considered a flop when it sold over 1 million consoles within the first 2 months, whereas the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, these wouldn't have been considered a flop to these fanboys, even though they sold considerably less than what the Wii U has sold. Okay, so why are they saying that the Wii U is a flop? My theory, they're just hating on something because it's not their console. Something to think about.
Okay, so here's just my little perspective on the whole Wii U has no games thing. Okay, the Wii U launched in America with 29 games. In Europe, it launched with 25 games, and in Japan, it launched with 11 games. Compared to the PlayStation 3, which is the comparison that everyone's going with, in the United States, the PlayStation 3 launched with 12 games. In Japan, it launched with 6 games, and in the United Kingdom, it was supposed to launch with 29 games, but there was 5 delays, so therefore it only launched with 24 games. Yet people still insist on saying that the Wii U has no games. Okay, now I'm sure everyone remembers when the PlayStation 3 was released that it was accused of having no games. Okay, well, that list shows that it did have games, not a lot, but they were still there. Okay, and I'm thinking that the PlayStation and Sony fanboys are they're using it as an excuse. Not really an excuse, as more as they've taken it to heart and they're just remembering everything that was said. So they're just applying this same stereotype to a new console which has just been released. So if you like the Xbox, as I do, as many others do as well, I'm multi-platform, I game on everything. Expect the Sony fanboys to say this for the Xbox 720 as well, especially if it starts out with less than 1,000 games. So, where does this leave us? Well, if you look at everything that I've said so far, it just shows that the fanboys are once again kicking out against the company with the newest console on the market. It happens in every generation with every new console that is released. It's going to be happening again when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 720 are released, especially when the Ouya and the Steambox are released as well. Okay, and just to summarise things and to give you the global totals for the 3 consoles that I gave the sales for, in the Wii U, total sales for November and December 2012 were 2,457,152 total sales. In 2005, November to December, the Xbox 360 sold 1,178,267 total units. In 2006, November to December, the PlayStation 3 sold 1,252,040 total units. Okay, now, and in the highest regions for the PlayStation 3 and the Wii U, in the highest region with the most games, for the Wii U, there's 29 games released in the United States, which had the most games released on launch, and for the PlayStation 3, the most games launched in a single region, which had the highest amount of games launched, was in Europe, which had 24 games released at launch. It would have been 29 if the 5 games weren't delayed. Okay, so once again, fanboys, they're just scratching and clawing at whatever they can get to try and get it into people's minds that something bad is going to happen to the company that's just released a new console. When it happens constantly, and for months everyone says, oh, it's going to fail, it'll fail this time, nope, it's going to fail here. It's been happening since the creation of the video games industry. And with that, I have just say have a nice day.